Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't a hard guy to find. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Tuesday night, 9 o'clock here on the YouTube page. We are also live on Twitter and Facebook as well. It is MBR Nothing But Rants, the show where I bring you topics that I'm oddly passionate about, and I pontificate upon them. As you guys know, these are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. I was going to start tonight's show with an interview with Antoine Jackson, the first and only commit in the 2024 class for the University of Georgia, a cornerback out of Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, there were some technical issues. It is what it is. So you guys are just going to get straight MBR tonight, which means we do have a block, aka a segment, whatever you want to call it in the radio or television world. We do have one available tonight, which means we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time, which is open up Q&A, open up the floor for you guys to get in here and give us some shouts. I was about 30 seconds late on tonight's show because Pandora and the 2000s R&B slapper of a playlist was playing another banger, which is When You're Mad at Me by Neo. So tonight's late show is brought to you by none other than Neo. When you're mad at me. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. Go holler at YouTube. Go holler at Apple Music, wherever you check out your music. When You're Mad at Me by Neo. Absolute banger for when you and your girl are maybe getting into an argument and you're like, hey, chill out. I think you're sexy when you're mad. You don't need to be doing it. Neo, shouts to 2000 R&B. But we have a loaded show for you guys tonight, brought to you by none other than thegramco.com, our keynote sponsors. You guys know I can't live without my coffee. The Gramco Wake and Bake coffee is a medium roast, Colombian grown, and Delta 8 infused coffee. How about that? That's a lot, but think about it. Colombian grown, medium roast, with a little bit of Delta 8 in there. It's about everything you need with some natural homegrown hemp plants down there from the Gramco. It's the perfect way to kick off your morning, and you can save 25% over on thegramco.com today if you use promo code Brooks25. A loaded show for you guys. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about how competition breeds success, even if the competition is faked. Okay, even if it is a little fugazi. I'm not going to say all the competition is fugazi right now around the Georgia football program, but some of it is, and we're going to help you kind of differentiate the difference between that's open competition and open evaluation. Okay, there are two different things, and tonight we're going to address those things. And then I'm going to talk to you about how in the world of NIL, competitive recruiting, and all this stuff, this new world of one-time transfer and name, image, and likeness, and all these NIL collectives and directives coming up, all this nonsense that a lot of fans, particularly Georgia fans and Alabama fans, the ones that have been on the pinnacle of the recruiting trails, a lot of people are really nervous about. I'm going to throw some water on it today because I think the best counter recruiting point that Kirby Smart has ever received, Nick Saban as well, has ever received happened in the last 2 weeks around college football. Stick around. We're gonna close tonight's show with that. So again, a loaded show here on MBR. However, wherever you found us, please throw us a like and subscribe wherever. Again, if you found us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you don't catch us on YouTube and you don't miss, or you miss a portion of tonight's broadcast, you can always rewatch it over there. It is also will be available on all your podcast platforms. Just search the Film Guy Network. All of our names are the same across all of our social media platforms. That is made that way for you guys as an audience. So let's talk a little bit about Antoine Jackson. I know I told you we were going to originally do an interview with the young man, but we couldn't quite get him in here today. Did the interview over the phone. We'll have an article out over on Dogs Daily kind of surmising what we've learned. But let me tell you a little something about what I've learned about this dude, okay? If you go scrolling through Antoine Jackson's Twitter feed right now, today, you will see dude getting to work out in his local neighborhood, out by the pond where he told me a 14-foot gator was once found. You will find the dude working out in a standard gym with a normal trainer that most kids work out with. You will find him working out at the local playground. You will find him working out at the local football and baseball field, out in the public park, right? In the literal parking lot, doing band resistance work. Bottom line, dude works, okay? South Florida works, too. We're talking about Fort Lauderdale. This is Kane's country. This is a kid that grew up like in Miami. No ifs, ands, or bones about it. His first ever Division I offer was from Miami, was going to Miami, was Miami. And then boom, something happens and he's a Georgia commit. How? A guy by the name of Fran Brown. Not all entirely Fran Brown, but it was Fran Brown. If you go look again through the social media feed, you will see, oh, wow, Rutgers in the mix out of nowhere. Rutgers in the mix for a South Florida kid. And then Rutgers in the mix becomes February 14th, Rutgers in the mix. Shout out Valentine's Day. Gets an offer from him. Fran Brown takes the Georgia job February 18th. Okay. He's on campus like the end of February, and he's committing middle of March. It happened really, really quickly. There was a line of demarcation, if you will, in this young man's recruitment. And to me, that direct lineage was Fran Brown. He admitted as much. That relationship is extremely, extremely strong and extremely, extremely important. And believe it or not, I don't know if you guys are aware of this trend, but there is a trend in Georgia recruiting. Okay. It's not a big one. It's not a major one. If you think about it, 2021, David Daniel was the very first commit in that class. He ends up in the class. He goes wire to wire, Georgia commit, Georgia signee, Georgia enrollee, backup safety right now at Georgia. You go to 2022, who's the first commit in that class? You guys probably don't remember. It's a guy by the name of MGK. And I'm not talking about the rapper. I'm talking about Marquise Gross Killebrew. He's going to Texas A&M. Okay, so he didn't end up in the class, ended up decommitting. 2023, do you remember who the first recruit was, the first commit? It was Trayon Webb. Trayon Webb, I don't know if he's going to end up in the class, but it doesn't look like it right now. I believe he cut Georgia out of his top 5. So there is a slight trend in recruiting where, hey, you probably shouldn't fall in love with the first guy that commits to your university. Antoine Jackson would fit that mold typically. I asked him this question, say, well, first of all, you probably didn't know this was the case, but are you going to be one of these, or are you going to buck the trend? Are you going to go wire to wire like David Daniel did in 2021? And every kid can say this, but I think he was true about it and 100%, truthful in the thoughts when he said it was, no, I'm going wire to wire. I'm going to ride this thing out, University of Georgia. As for what kind of a football player Georgia got, a dude, okay, a guy that's got really, really natural instincts. The number one thing, and I'll leave you with this, and we'll let you guys go watch the tape, and we can watch the tape as a Patreon audience over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin if you guys really want to see it. But the very first thing you will notice is how comfortable he is remaining in what we call phase, which means he is on top of, beside, or in the hip pocket of the wide receiver he is covering. He is miraculous at remaining in phase with his eyes to the football. Okay, how many young corners, Keely Ringo, prime example, Clemson game, how many young corners have you seen when the ball's in the air, they kind of panic when they're young? They don't really have that natural tendency to turn their head, find the ball, while also remaining spatially aware of where the guy is around you, aka playing good corner, okay? This kid's been doing it basically his whole life. And I mentioned it to him, was like, this is what I love about your game, outside of the fact that you're 6'1", outside of the fact that you're going to project as a really college-ready corner by the time you get here, outside of the fact that you work all this good stuff. I love that you do this. And he was like, yeah, it's because I am a wide receiver, but we've moved to corner because that's what we need to do. We need to move to corner. Great young man, really well-spoken and super, super smart and mature young football player. You guys should be excited about that one. And again, I do believe he holds. Let's talk a little bit about what we opened tonight's show with, this idea that competition breeds success, even when the competition is staged, even when the competition is fugazi, as we like to say around here, fake. Okay, nonsense, not nonsense, but fake, not real. Okay, fallacies, fugazi. Okay, some of these quote-unquote competitions you're hearing about right now at Georgia, they're not necessarily competitions as much as they are evaluations. And here's what I mean by that. There are a multitude of theories when it comes to spring practice, what it means to evaluate, or what it means to go through those 15 practice periods that you are allotted by the NCAA in the offseason. That's it. That's all you get. You get an inner squad, and that's it. You get 15 practices to go out there and really pop, really figure out who you are as a football team. And there's a multitude, really only 2 ways to go about this, and 2 theories as to ways of going about this as a football team. Theory 1, there is something that I call unit versus unit competition. Okay, unit versus unit evaluation. In other words, we're going to have good on good some days. Our first team unit on offense is going to go against our first team unit on defense. And then some days our second team offense is going to go against our first team defense, and vice versa. Our first team offense is going to go against our second team defense. 2s versus 3s, 3s versus 1s, so on and so forth, right? You get inter-squad, essentially, practices day in, day out against your units, right? First team unit, second team unit, third team unit. The benefit of this theory is more provocative for a program that kind of knows who they are, right? They line up, they see their depth chart, and they got a whole bunch of yeses, a whole bunch of answers, right? A whole bunch of known data points when they look at their depth chart. So they go into the spring and they say, hey, we really need to get a look and a feel for what our 2s look like as a unit. So the 2s get a boatload of reps, right? Backup quarterbacks working with the backup center, the future of the kind of the organization, the future of the football team. That's a great way to run spring, and Georgia's been running spring like that for a long time. You can mix in battles at certain positions that you need, right? If you got certain question marks, hey, we really don't know the difference between X number 1 and X number 2, so we're going to get X number 1 and X number 2 a variety of reps. We're going to kind of stagger them against the 1s and the 2s throughout spring practice. We'll let those guys battle it out while the rest of the unit is working on cohesiveness. That's theory number 1. Unit versus unit. Theory number 2 is what I think Georgia is now in, which is what I call the free-for-all period. So what is the free-for-all period? It's the battle royale. It's I'm gonna drop you out the sky. You're gonna have nothing but a parachute. You're gonna have to go pick up your weapons and go shoot the shit out. That's what free-for-all is. That's what battle royale is, right? Your known starters, they only get reps with the 1s. Your guys, that are dudes that for a fact, without a shadow of doubt, right? Without a shadow of doubt, Keely Ringo is starting at corner. Without a shadow of doubt, Chris Smith is starting at safety. Without a shadow of doubt, Jalen Carter is starting with the 1s. Those guys in free-for-all spring mode, they only play with the 1s. They only rep with the 1s, okay? But everybody else, hey, man, we sprinkle a little here. We sprinkle a little there. We get this collective unit of half of 1s, half of what we think is 2s, and we let those guys play as 1 unit. And maybe we figure out something with rotation. Maybe we figure out that, Amarius Mims does work better with Devin Willock as opposed of, Warren Erickson, things like this, things that you only find out through evaluation periods, right? Prime example, last spring. What did we hear about? What did we report about on patreon.com/Brooks Austin? We reported about how JT was getting the reps with the 1s, Carson Beck was getting reps with the 2s, and those units were simultaneously competing, and the measurement points and the data points were Carson Beck took 25 reps against the 1s defense today. Stetson Bennett took 25 reps with his unit against the 1s defense today. Who did better? That was last spring, except last spring it was JT with the 1s, Beck with the 2s, and a little sprinkle of Bennett and Brock, right? Y'all get a little bit of reps. Your head coach said he didn't get no reps last spring because they knew what they had, right? They knew what they had. Think about that. We know what we have. They didn't really know what they had because they got into the season and it ends up being Stetson Bennett, right? The results of this unit versus unit theory, this unit versus unit spring practice, resulted in you not knowing who the hell you were at the end of spring because you didn't know what you had. You knew you had this JT Daniels guy, and you knew you had this Carson Beck guy, and then come December when you're fighting for a national title, 13's playing quarterback, and he ain't got reps all spring, and he didn't really get reps all fall until UAB rolled around. Things could have started a little bit better. Not that they didn't start, great against UAB, but things could have been a little bit more cohesive when Stetson Bennett got in there, right? I truly believe this, and I think this has been found out through the Stetson Bennett experiment. Through this Stetson experiment's the wrong term, experience. I think this lesson learned by Georgia came through this exact theory, where in the spring last year, they were doing the unit versus unit stuff. Stetson really wasn't getting looks with the 1s. Neither was Vandergriff. Neither was really Beck. It was just, hey, the 2s versus the 1s versus the 2s, right? JT's our guy. By the end of the year, you're a completely different football team and you didn't get an opportunity to practice with it. So now you morph into this free-for-all mode, right? This free-for-all mode where everyone is getting an evaluation period. The only way to find the best version, the quote-unquote best version of a player, is to allow him to play next to the best players. Duh. Especially at the quarterback position. The only way to truly know that Stetson Bennett is your guy is to put him around the other 10 guys that you know you're going to play with on Saturday. The free-for-all method of evaluating is the only way to know whether or not you've got a true version of who you are, right? Of what a player is. So as we go through this spring, know that now that because of Stetson Bennett, because of them finding out that this guy's a dude midway through September and not really having the free-for-all mindset in last spring, because of Stetson Bennett's success, he now has to go out and eat. He now has to go out and win battle royales every single week. The same way he got the job. It is no longer entitled at Georgia to play quarterback. You got to hold everybody off, just like everybody had to hold you off. That is a product of your own success and no one really other to blame. It's no different than this spring. You will hear about Amarius Mims in there getting ones reps, right, when he gets healthy. Not breaking news on here, but okay, you can find that out on Patreon as well. Just like Warren McClendon is going to have to hold off Amarius Mims, Stetson Bennett is going to have to hold off Carson Beck. Just like JT Daniels had to hold off Stetson Bennett last year. Just like Dan Jackson and Chris Smith are going to have to hold off David Daniel. Just like Tramel Walthour is going to have to hold off Michael Williams. Just like Warren Erickson has to hold off literally everyone. Okay? Just like those guys are in free-for-all mode, just like those guys are going through all that, so is the quarterback position. What you are hearing right now, all the hubbub that we're a week early on, all the hubbub that you're hearing about now isn't a quarterback battle. It's not a quarterback controversy. It's a quarterback evaluation period. That's what this is, because everything's being evaluated, as it should be. This is the way spring practice should be. I don't know who Brock Vandagriff is, because Brock Vandagriff's been playing behind threes offensive line units basically since he got to Georgia. Not anymore. Not in the spring. The spring is your time to identify whether or not that guy's a dude. And the only way to do that is to put him around the other 10 guys that you know are SEC quality. If you're going to find out if your quarterback's SEC quality, you got to put him in front of and around SEC quality football players, right? Now, all that being said, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying, just because I'm saying you don't have a battle right now, doesn't mean you don't have a quarterback battle on the horizon, right? Performance will still be the ultimate deciding factor at the University of Georgia. Always has, always will. But I think the main part here, guys, as we hear about all this buzz about Carson Beck, and it's warranted. The guy is balling, okay? I'm here to tell you, the guy's balling out. But he did that last spring too, last summer, and he knows the deal. It don't matter to Georgia fans whether or not Aaron Murray says he's the most gifted thrower on the roster. It doesn't matter whether or not he blows up every single practice, in Athens. It doesn't matter. Georgia fans don't want to hear nothing until he does something in the game that submits or goes over what you remember, which most of you guys, all you remember about Carson Beck is a pick six on an arrow route that was ran improperly by the running back. It's a good ball. It's on time ball. It was in the right spot. Running back ran the incorrect depth. Pick six. And you guys are like, oh, he's loafing. Go look at the all 22 footage. He's not loafing. He's never going to catch the guy. But until all that is subsided with proper performance and positive performance on the football field, you guys ain't going to believe nothing that you're ever told about Carson Beck. I don't know what to tell you, except for this spring, he's getting reps with the ones, as is Brock Vandagriff, because your coaching staff, I believe, based off the tea leaves, there's been a change, man. Again, that demand on the quarterback position, that day-to-day go out there, earn your spot, that is no one's fault but 13, because they found out something midway through the season that they never would have thought was imaginable, that the guy that they said wasn't even their backup in August could be the dude that they're calling upon early, mid, late September, and then rolls out the rest of the season. That has sent Kirby into free-for-all mode. All these dudes are going to battle. All these dudes are going to get after it. So don't wig out when you read it, okay, especially if it comes from me. Read it, but don't wig out. It's not big. It's not massively important, okay? I still believe September 4th, That is Stetson Bennett's football team. Okay, that is Stetson Bennett's football team. Let's take a moment. One more shouts to Gramco, thegramco.com. Did you know we got some Patreon members that are about, I don't know if y'all are playing the drinking game, but let's do it. Did you know that that Gramco is veteran owned and Georgia supported? That's right. The owners of Gramco are veterans and they're Georgia supporters. So shout outs to the Gramco, the best and most premium products and all Delta 8 and CBD infused coffees, vapes, actual flour, anything you need, thegramco.com. Promo code Brooks25 will get you some of that veteran owned and supported Gramco.com. Gramco products. Shouts out to the Gramco veteran owned. Great show rolling right now. Great show rolling right now. However, wherever you found us, hit that thumbs up button. I know I see some people coming in and out. Don't worry. It's 9:30 right now, which means tomorrow morning, bright and early, yo butts probably got to drive to work. If you missed any portion of today's, broadcast, feel free, search all your podcast networks. The Film Guy Network, I will remember to download and upload it right after this show. You have my word, okay? No fingers crossed. They're right here in front of you. My toes are crossed, though. It'll be uploaded, so if you miss it, feel free to join us over there. Look, everybody gets this one, so we're going to take you behind the curtain here. JB Tone over here, she asks, I'm confused. Are we on the air? I mean, the sign is not lit. So I'm not going to get up and walk over there right now in the middle of the show. But the problem is, see, I got one of these fancy two-shot camera angles, right? I can boom, 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 right? We back forth. The problem is this resolution is so high. And Chuck, don't comment. I know you gave me the solution to this. The resolution on this is so high, it distorts the camera. So it just looks goofy. And it probably looks even more goofy now that it's not, lit up. B-Red says all about that homegrown. Dukes look like he's owned some of that homegrown right there. Shout out to the Sonics. Let's get into our next subject, which is probably why a lot of you people are here. Probably reading the topics. Probably saw us on Twitter teasing and pleasing over there on Twitter today, talking about how Kirby Smart just might have his best recruiting pitch ever. And I'm here to tell you, I think he does. Because right now, you might have this little voice in your head. It might be real quiet right now, but a lot of you Georgia fans, you got it. You got that little voice in the back of your head. You're a little worried. And what are you worried about? You're worried about NIL collectives, right? You're worried about Jimmy Haslam's money up there at Tennessee being endless, no bounds, right? Boundless. You're worried about Texas A&M money, sliced bread, right? All you Georgia fans out here worried about all these NIL collectives. Oh, my God. Are they going to get us? Are they going to catch us in recruiting because now they can just buy the best class that they want? Everybody's worried about it, right? Everybody's worried about it. And I got to be honest with you. I think Kirby Smart has a boatload of recruiting pitches. I mean, a ton of them. He's a national champ now. I mean, you can walk around. We the national champs, at least for the next, 11 months, 10 months, national champs, right? You get a yearly shot at a title at the University of Georgia. That's pretty much true. If you handle your business, you're going to play for a national title at the University of Georgia. Oh, you're a defensive player, are you? Oh, that's great. We play about 45 of them every single year that just rotate in and out. Don't care if you're freshman, sophomore, seventh year, senior. Shouts out to the COVID and the NCAA. Okay, all of them play. Whole bunch of bodies. That's a great recruiting pitch. Oh, the University of Georgia gets you literally in anywhere. Power G kind of means something, okay? Kind of means something. One of the biggest brands in college football. Oh, and here at the University of Georgia under Kirby Smart, best players play. I mean, it's proven track record. You ain't got to sit if you're a dude, Jalen Carter. You ain't got to sit if you're a dude, Trayvon Walker. Broderick Jones, redshirt freshman, national title. Go handle Will Anderson. Make your money right now, right? A whole bunch of recruiting pitches. But I think the counter recruiting pitch that was just provided by schools like Texas A&M, schools like Florida, all these schools that are getting heavy on this NIL collective stuff, they just had the biggest anti-recruiting pitch I think I've seen in a fat minute. And here's what it is right now, okay? I'm going to throw up a little, what you would call it, a little graphic right here. I don't know why I struggled so long to find that word. I'm going to throw up a little graphic right here. And this right here, obviously, is the University of Georgia's 40s time. I know you can't see me. It's unfortunate. I know you're going to have to wait a second. I know. But here you see all the 40s, right? You see Lewis Seen, Georgia safety, clocking in 4.37. 4-star out of high school, highly touted. Zamir White, 4.4 flat after 2 ACL surgeries. Shout out to the strength and conditioning coach. James Cook, 4.42, 4-star out of high school. George Pickens, 4.47. Tyndall, 4.47. Trayvon Walker at 272 pounds, 4.51. The damn punter rolled 4.56 in Jake Camarda. Quay Walker, 4.52. Devontae Wyatt at 305 pounds, 4.77. Jordan Davis at 341 pounds, rolling a 4.78. SEC football player, right? SEC program. Whole lot of speed in the SEC, right? All across the board. Oh, highly touted recruits too. So, of course, he just running them out. Recruit 5 stars, turn out 5 stars. That's how it's supposed to be, right? That's how it's supposed to be, right? Come in, you ball out, you play a couple years, you go run fast at the combine, you run super fast to your pro day, you're a first-round draft pick. That's how it works out, right? Wrong. That's how it works out at Georgia. That is not how it works out at Texas A&M. Am I right, LaMarvin Leal? Am I right, DeMarvin Leal? Am I? 504. Leon O'Neal, Georgia safety, 4.37, turning in a 4.7 flat over there from Texas A&M. Isaiah Spiller, were they running uphill over there in College Station? Isaiah Spiller, running back, both Georgia guys, 4.4 flat. Isaiah Spiller, really highly touted out of high school, 9th overall running back in the 24/7 composite, 4.63. Jalen Watermeyer took a Brock Bowers spot in the tight ends award this year, 5 flat, 5.03. I mean, we could talk all we want about the Florida guys. You guys get it. Okay, you guys get it. And here's my point, right? We could talk about NIL money all you want. You can talk about NIL money all you want. You could talk about how X player at X school that's not to be mentioned, but we all kind of know who it is, $8 million deal, right? We can talk about all these things till we're blue in the face, or in my case, red in the face. Okay, we can do all this over and over and over again. We could talk about how important it is for you to brand yourself and make money off yourself while you can in the name, image, and likeness era. That is all great, fine, and dandy. Go get your money, young man. We have talked about that from the jump. But here's the problem. I see a lot of schools. I see a lot of schools out here selling this, come get paid while you in college. That's hustling backwards. Your $8 million in college is great, but you cannot guarantee me the $120 million that's waiting on me if I get to the NFL and sustain myself. You're not, right? Look at all these pro day numbers. I see millions lost out at Texas A&M. There is no difference in the pedigree between DeMarvin Leal and Trayvon Walker, except for the decision in college employment. That's it. So, yeah. I would love for every 5-star to go in, come out, first-round draft pick, but it don't happen at every place. It does not happen at every place. It happens at 2 places. It happens at Georgia right now, and it happens at Alabama, okay? All these guys you see on this list, all these guys from the University of Georgia, this is all 2018 and beyond signing class. People forget. People are out here thinking that Kirby Smart has been doing this for a decade. No. He didn't start really with his first true class of recruiting until 2017. That was his first full class. By 2018, he'd racked up 7 5-stars in one class, 23 since 2017, 23 5-stars. Okay, last year, the University of Georgia shattered their own record. 9 players drafted last year, 8 the year before. Every single year, he is breaking his own records, right? Breaking his own records. So here's what I would say. If I'm the University of Georgia, or if I'm the University of Alabama, because all their guys did what they're supposed to do. All those guys performed. They progressed. They did everything they were supposed to do in terms of progression of an athlete from high school to college to now the NFL, which is where Georgia and Alabama football players end up almost all the time, okay, in terms of the high-end guys. They don't miss on a whole lot of these guys. If I were these 2 programs, specifically Georgia and Alabama, after what they just did this year, here's what I would tell every single recruit that comes through the building. I think you got 2 options when it comes to this NIL stuff. I really do. I think you got 2 options. Option A is take the 7-figure deal, right? That's $1 million or more, or $8 million in this case. Take the $7 million deal, or take the 7-figure deal, okay, at school A, whatever school A is during option A. Take the $7 million NIL deal and have a drastically less likely chance to make it to the NFL based off of the data, right? Based off of the data. Or option B, go to one of these places that has a history of making the 8-figure deals in the NFL, which is double-digit millions, which is transcendent wealth, not wealth that will get half of it taxed and taken away. We've got transcendent wealth. We got wealth that will pass on through generations through option B. As long as you're one of these guys that's fighting for these $1 million deals, if you go into college and handle your business as a 5-star and produce like you're supposed to at these programs, you will make it out. You will make it out and you will go to the NFL. Those are the two options. And oh, by the way, if you take option B, which doesn't exactly come with all these NIL promises, which is all they are, by the way, they're not actual factual contracts. They are promises, okay, and good faith deals. That's literally in the quote unquote contract. Even if you go to Georgia or Alabama, which, by the way, I know Saban did his little thing. My quarterback's making up to $1 million in NIL deal. What you didn't hear was actual numbers. You're not going to hear massive numbers like this, I don't believe, out of Georgia and Alabama. Why? Because it's kind of business as usual at those programs right now, okay? Kind of business as usual. There's collectives, there's directives. Collectives, whole bunch of money getting put together. Directives, legal bag man. That's all that is. That's all it needs to be. NIL came around. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. So you will hear programs like Georgia and Alabama preach the same thing they've been preaching for years now. Come here, we put you in the league. Come here, we put you in the league. The latest first-round draft projections, and we'll leave you with this before we get into Nostrabeezus, and then we'll do some Q&A. That's right, we got Nostrabeezus. The latest first-round draft mock drafts, right? I've seen Trayvon Walker as high as number 2. I've seen Jordan Davis as high as number 13. I've seen Devontae Wyatt as high as number 16. I've seen George Pickens as high as number 28. And I've seen Nakobe Dean as high as number 32. That's 5 first-round draft picks. Would break an NFL draft record for most players from one school drafted in the first round. Okay? Collectively, those signing bonuses, $39 million for the number 2 overall pick will be handed to Trayvon Walker. $18 million at the number 13 overall. $16 million at number 16 overall. $14 million due at signing at the number 28 overall pick, and $12 million at the number 32 overall pick. You can have your NIL collectives because until they produce that bottom line number, Bama's not really going to care. They will whine. They will complain. They will try to limit you as much as they can, as will Georgia. Jer Moorhead will come out and he will bicker and he will moan and he will fight it to the death. But in the background, they're like, I mean, do we really want kids that'll get slewed by $375,000 signing bonuses and contracts that are $1.5 million? No. We probably want the guys that don't necessarily need that. They're going to come in here and just absolutely work themselves to the bone to when they show up as a 5-star Trayvon Walker at 300 pounds. By the time they leave, they're 272 pounds and they're a top 5 draft pick because they rolled 4.51 and spent the last 3 years doing what they were supposed to do. Not spending the last 3 years worrying about NIL deals. I think Georgia, it will be business as usual. At Alabama, it will be business as usual. You don't hear about NIL deals like this from these programs, and I don't think you will. I don't think you will. We do have Q&A coming up at some point tonight, so feel free to get those Q&As loaded up right now. Remember, always leave a question mark so my dumb self can make sure I don't miss it. I don't know if you guys like Propels, not an ad read. I don't know if you guys like Propel, but I found them today at a gas station in like the big 20 or 34 ounce bottles. So shouts out. Got a little Nostrabeezus for you. If you don't know what Nostrabeezus is, this is where I basically tell you what the future is going to look like. It's kind of like Nostradamus, but I put my name in there, Nostrabeezus. I got another one for you. You guys seem to like this one, so we'll give you another one here. You know, somebody's going to do it. And somebody's going to do it. They do it every single year. They have for the last 3 years when this guy was wearing that blue and that burnt orange and was out there in that way too loud speaker knocker stadium that is Jordan Hare. Not Jordan because they pronounce it Jordan because they're special. Somebody going to do this Bo Nix thing again. I promise you. And what's the Bo Nix thing, Brooks? Okay, the Bo Nix thing is this right here. Stop me if you've heard this one. And I quote, you know, Bo Nix got a lot of experience against that Georgia defense. Or better yet, this is my favorite. You know what used to give Kirby Smart's defenses problems at Alabama? You remember that Johnny Manziel guy running around, creating havoc? Defense can't really play on script. Man, that really gave Kirby Smart some problems back in 2012. You know that Bo Nix, man, he's the kind of athlete that, quarterbacks can kind of create enough problems where they might have a shot. They might have a shot. I promise you right now, somebody will do that come September. Somebody will open College Game Day and say, man, Dan Lanning, a lot of familiarity here, Kirk. A lot of familiarity here, Kirk. And that Bo Nix got 3 career starts against Georgia. How many teams out here can say they've seen this defense 3 times and have the defense coordinator on football team? Head coach Kirk. How many people have that advantage? That's fine. This career record that you got, first of all, 0-for-3 from Bo Nix. And if you watched him, chicken with his head cut off the entire game. Now, I know Auburn offensive line, not the greatest thing in the world. I get it. But 56% completion percentage, 212 yards, and basically a turnover a game. Kirby Smart's shaking in his Ugg boots right now, man. He is just shiver me timbers in his night jammies here in March. Can't even figure it out, man. Can't even believe how stressed he is right now about seeing Bo Nix for the 4th time. Give me a break. Bo Nix. B-Red. That's a great way to start off the questions here. Indica Sativa. I'm a sativa guy because I'm not going to end up in the couch. A lot of good, but got to join the Patreon discount for the Nugs. Absolutely. Kevin Craig asks, how many Georgia players get forced into the portal? Now, this is a great question, and this is a question that, Kevin, makes me believe you are already a Patreon member because I've let you know, hey, look, at Georgia this year, they are pushed up on it. I'm not going to tell you how much they are pushed up on it in terms of the scholarship number, but there needs to be room made. I get asked all the time, hey, are they going to make any additions in the portal? Not right now. Not right now. What you're going to see is a bunch of football players, I would imagine, get turned over. Look, college football now, I spoke to an SEC coach yesterday that when he mentioned his player personnel guy, he didn't say player personnel. He said general manager. My general manager. Why do you need a general manager in college football? So you can make roster cuts and roster additions. That's why you need a general manager in college football. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are sending your kids to college, understand something. This is now a business. It's always been a business, but it's a business in the sense that your butt could be fired tomorrow. There is a team in the Big 12 or the Big 10 right now that during spring practice will be doing the, hey, coach needs to see you, bring your playbook. 100%. And if you do your research, it ain't hard to figure out which one of them it is because the Joker done turned his roster around in a matter of 18 months. Completely. Flip. So how do you take 28 transfer portal guys onto your roster? Well, you got to make room for them. It's not just, everybody gets to play. No, not right now. Everybody gets a scholarship. No, not right now. I would imagine eventually they bump the scholarship number up, which is why you're allowed to have, they already have during the spring. I think it's up 8 spots. You basically get an 8 scholarship threshold of a plus and minus. Come August, you got to be back down to 85. That is a cutthroat business, and it absolutely 100% will be the rest of the time. First game ever working together. I think Rudes is just talking here. Jonathan Williams said, what would your modus operandi be in regards to figuring out your starting quarterback if you're Kirby Smart? Jonathan, I appreciate you asking this question just because you want to be a smart aleck. But here's how I would handle the quarterback room. I would probably handle it the same way he did last year, which is the sense that, look, you're in the building every single day. You are. And if there is a guy in the quarterback room that is supremely talented or has the vibe of the team, has the soul of the team, has the heartbeat of the team, that's your guy. Okay, that will always be your guy. I think that was the case last year. I think last year you had a case where one guy showed up every single day to practice and worked and off season and worked. And one guy was always hurt. Okay, always hurt. So as the season progresses, and maybe you're always hurt during the offseason, But it's okay if you're always hurt during the offseason because you're not costing me playing time yet. You're still supremely talented. But the first time you always get hurt during season, we got to move on, okay? Because national titles are at stake. So I don't think you got that problem this year. I think you got a performance issue. Whoever performs the best this year will be your guy. And I think that's going to be Stetson Bennett. I think you have to roll with Stetson Bennett this year until he gives you a reason not to do it, okay? Not to do it. But he is going to compete. Who do you pair with Jamal Jarrett, considering he chooses UGA? Robert's already throwing a crystal ball in here right now on the broadcast for Jamal Jarrett. I would pair a defensive tackle with him this summer. We're going to get into a lot of this stuff when we break down Brooks's big board that's coming to Patreon. We're going to break down all of basically my big board for every position for the 2023 recruiting class. It'll obviously coincide with film of all these guys as well. We'll be doing that during the dog days of the summer when you're like, man, there ain't nothing to talk about. There's going to be plenty to talk about over there. And we'll probably, cross-reference it with some SEC big boards, potentially even Georgia's big board if I can get my fat nose in there and see what we got going on. All right, Kevin Craig. Y'all are talking to each other. Here we go. Summer enrollees with the best chance to contribute early. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a dude named Marvin Jones Jr. that, I mean, if all he knows is to rush the passer, he's good enough to do that day one. Just like, hey, just go out there and speed rush. It's 3rd and 18. Just go. Just line up, wide 9, just go get it. Go after. He's probably one of those guys. I think it's the only guy. Oh, Jaheim Singletary as well. He's a freak. He's going to be a really, really good corner at the University of Georgia. It's just so hard to start over sophomores at that position. And they don't really rotate as much as, say, they would edge rushers, right? I mean, if Marvin Jones Jr. is getting 3 or 4 pass rush snaps a game, you probably won't even notice until he gets a sack. You'd be like, oh, damn, that's a freshman. Yeah, he is. He's 6'6", 240 pounds. So you guys have known on this platform, I talk about 2 things when it comes to the readiness of a high school football player when it comes to playing as a freshman. You got to be big enough, rule number 1, 6'6", 240. And you got to be technically sound enough. He's not that. He's not. He's still really, really raw. But, I mean, the rawness is 6'6", 240 is going to be okay. Remember how kind of like spot play-ish Jermaine Johnson was? And then all of a sudden you see him get a bunch of reps and find himself, and he's this freak at 6'6". That's what Marvin Jones Jr. is. It's a prime example of a guy you just got to wait on. You just got to wait on. I just don't know how long it's going to take. You think Will Anderson and Bryce Young will go 1 and 2 in the draft with Young going 1? It all depends on how the draft shakes out. If Jacksonville's terrible again, they're not taking a quarterback, those kind of things. But it sounds like Atlanta's going to be in that number 1 spot because that might be the worst NFL roster I've seen in a fat minute. Q&A, dark horse pick this year to flash under the radar. Ooh, under the radar. So those are names that obviously you guys don't hear about. So that means JDJ's off the board. I called the Zion Log thing literally last October. I was like, damn. I was watching the Arkansas tape. I was like, shit, this dude in the middle is a dude. Who is this? And then looked at the roster, Zion Log. And then I kept watching him. I was like, this guy right here, this guy gonna be a dude. So everybody's talking about him now. You know all about him. Jalen Walker, the freshman linebacker. Everybody's already talking about that one now too. So under the radar, Nyland Green has had a really, really good spring, and I don't know if he's going to be able to beat out Kamari Lassiter because Kamari Lassiter is a guy. But damn, has he had a really strong spring? The only problem is, and we've told you this on Patreon, it's kind of touch and go. It can be at times. It's like, oh, damn, Sunday play, one hand, stick, interception, right? Next play, busted coverage, touchdown. It's like, oh, damn, came downhill, set the edge, turned the running back inside, really stuck his head in there, really stuck his nose in there, made a physical play. Next possession, it's like, wrong run fit. Like, it's just goofy things like that. But I think he's a player that definitely is a player. He's going to be a baller whenever he gets on the field. Problem is getting onto the field. Is Searles not making much noise on the trail? Peyton, to be honest with you, this spring and this summer, these evaluation periods of getting these guys in, these kids in, and getting them to camp this summer, That will help Searles decide what it is his board looks like. Okay, so 2023 class, guys, don't get too freaky right now. Way too early right now. Cody Ledoux says, what do you think of McKeldry? He's talking about Raquise McKeldry out of Alabama. Since Alabama is flipping him, I would like to know. Have him. Great football player. He's a Bama kid. Let him go. Okay. He was offensive line MVP. If I'm going to be 100% honest, and you guys know me to do that, I question players that are that sawed off. As a person who is 6 foot myself, interior football players that are 6'1.5", okay, like 335 pounds, and wear a size 18 shoe. I don't know. And no history of playing center. Those things scare me just a little bit. Great football player, SEC caliber football player. Tape is incredible. Nasty, nasty dude. Great in short spaces. Crimson Tide. Go ahead. Hey, Brooksy. My mom calls me Brooksy. My dad called me Brooksy longer than anybody else. Nobody else really does it. That's probably by design. Biggest surprise this year. We kind of already hit on this one. Will Adam Anderson get drafted? I don't know why my brain read that Will Anderson, why I've said Adam Anderson out loud. I don't think anybody touches Adam Anderson as a football player until everything is resolved. And I mean everything. He's going to have to end up being a supplemental draft pick, I would imagine. It's unfortunate. You know, it is what it is. See, here we go. Shane, this is exactly the person we were talking about earlier. All we're missing is he threw a pick 6 and walked after the guy. What's up with the Carson Beck attention? He ain't that guy. Bye, Shane. He is a guy. He's a good football player. And these are the types of people that are also in my mentions. Shane, I appreciate you for watching. I really do. These are the same types of people that be in my mentions if Carson Beck does have to transfer and does leave and goes to Florida and lights your ass up in Jacksonville. You'll be in my YouTube mentions talking about Kirby can't ever pick the right quarterback. How we do that? I don't know. He's out here throwing kids to win. You ain't seen throw more than 30 passes in their life. Also, biggest player failure this year. We don't do that. We don't predict failures for football players. Terrence Allen asks, Brooks, which one of the draft eligible players from UGA has the best NFL career? It's hot take. It's gonna be Trayvon Walker. Okay, just when you get drafted as high as he's about to get drafted, people will give you run for 10 years. 10 years. When you are 6'5", 272 pounds, have the athletic profile that he does, and you are top 5 overall pick, number 2, number 1 overall pick, people will give you 10 years in the league. They might not pay you $110 million. They will give you 10 years in the league. So he will, by odds and by draft ranking, have the most lengthy NFL career. And I think it comes with success as well. I think Trayvon Walker is one of those football players that we see every class that has a really, really good college career. And then his rookie year is like, what? People whatever team drafts him, they're going to have fans out here when he puts up 7.5 sacks his rookie year in the NFL. I'm like, look at what our coach did. He was at Georgia and only had 6 sacks last year. Whoa. Talk about player progression. Easy. He's going to have a massive jump, okay? And I'm predicting that right now. It's just too easy to see. I know you don't do this, but preseason top 25. Allen, I love you. Not about to sit here and rack my brain through 25 different preseason rankings. Whoo. Devin Willock as first off the bench at guard. I think he got a handful of quote-unquote first off the benches at guard because when Tate Ratledge comes back this fall, he ain't just going to sit by the wayside. So he could quote-unquote be first up at guard. Micah Morris could be quote-unquote first up at guard. This Jared Wilson guy's hanging around, right? Xavier Truss is out here hanging around, right? Warren Erickson's out here hanging around, right? There's like 7 guys right now in Georgia that are competing for 2 spots. There's a lot of first up at guards, but I would imagine it's a combination of Xavier Truss, Devin Willock, Warren Erickson, Micah Morris next year. Here we go. Q&A. Who's the guy who you really want to see break out this offseason? For personal reasons, I would love to see JDJ continue to do what he's doing because That's like, for me, that's like the Jermaine Burton hit right now. Right now, it's looking tremendous, as was the Jermaine Burton, hype that I built with him coming out of high school. And then that one turned around, bit me in the ass. So I would hope, for selfish reasons, that JDJ continues to do what he's doing. But I would imagine he continues to do that moving forward. How many players from UGA in the NFL draft do you realistically think can go in the first round at the end of the month? I think the list we kind of ran through earlier is the only realistic list I will listen to. Okay? So again, those names, let's go back up here. Those names are ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Trayvon Walker, first-round draft pick. That's 1. Jordan Davis, first-round draft pick. That's 2. Devontae Wyatt, I think, will be a first-round draft pick. That's 3. And then we get into maybes, okay? Strong maybe. Nakobe Dean. Strong maybe. Quay Walker. Strong maybe. George Pickens, okay? Those are my strong maybes. I think you got 3 locks for first-round draft picks. Again, Walker, Davis, Wyatt. And then after that, it's, hey, is Quay Walker 28th overall? Hey, does Nakobe Dean sneak into the bottom half of the first round? Hey, does George Pickens, does a team like Green Bay late in the first take a shot on him? Those are the types of names I would be paying attention to in terms of, draft eligibility. Arian Smith, CJ Smith. Peyton Drummond says fastest player on the team. It's either those two or maybe a Keely Ringo type guy. We're talking high 22s, low 23 miles per hour when it comes to the speed checks up there at the University of Georgia. All right, last question here. Make it a good one. Make it a good one. Let's see here. I almost clicked on Jamie's. We'll give it a silent read while I dig for another one. We'll let you guys get a nice little chuckle out of Unk right here, getting in here. Here we go. Which freshman gets a sack first? Marvin Jones Jr., Michael Williams, or Kristen Miller? It's going to be Michael, and it'll be in the first cleanup duty game. And 100% will. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for tonight. If you like anything that we do, and I mean anything that we do here on the YouTube platform, you will absolutely love patreon.com/Brooks Austin, okay? $10 a month for all the inside intel you could possibly get, all the exclusive film studies you could possibly get, and injury reports, practice notes, all that good stuff. Hangouts with yours truly. Not that that's a selling point. One of the best, if not the best, community of dog fans over there in the world on Discord. Okay. Patreon.com/Brooks Austin. For the Film Guy family, for thegramco.com, and for yours truly. We'll see you next time.